Okay, I'm done. Hello, everybody. DF here. Welcome to Beauties and Beasts, a podcast of all things Beauty and the Beast. Anyone who has been around the last decade should know I was speaking Mignonese just now, a language invented specifically for the 2010 animated film from Illumination, Despicable Me. Wait, 2010? This movie's already 12 years old? My, how time flies. Despicable Me is about a supervillain, not Megamind, who, in his next evil plot, adopts 3 adorable orphan girls that turn his whole life around. Which makes this an appropriate topic now, as it's almost Father's Day. Still time to grab the gifts for your dad. A few ideas you can find on my Redbubble page, along with Pride merch for Pride Month. Just go to DisneyFanatic23.redbubble.com, DisneyFanatic23.redbubble.com. First, I'd like to thank my $5 plus patrons, Arvin Joshua Rocks 15, BellaPinkSavage, Cosmic Trail, nalaxsimba, and TyrannosaurusVenom. I hope that your support will continue once this podcast ends and the patron program is transferred to Patreon. So, Gru is a supervillain. His name, based on the abbreviation GRU for the Russian military intelligence agency, Gladnoye Ravzedzignoye Upravlenie. Okay, my dad's the Russian speaker of the family, not me. Oh, wait. Should we even be discussing Russia now with what's going on in the Ukraine? Hey, obviously our Gru is an immigrant and is not working for Russia right now. I hope not. So, let's move on. Anyway, another supervillain recently stole the Pyramid of Giza, and to top it off as the true crime of the century, Gru, with the help of his hundreds of yellow pill-shaped minions and his scientist friend Dr. Nefario, is planning to steal the moon with the use of a shrink ray from a top-secret research facility. But he needs more money to build the rocket to get to the moon. So he goes to the Bank of Evil to apply for a loan. Well, hang on. Why do supervillains need loans from the bank? If they want money, can't they just steal it? Gru's okay with stealing the moon, but not robbing a bank? That makes no sense. Anyway, in stealing the moon, Gru hopes to finally make his mom proud of him, as she didn't support his dream of going to the moon when he was little. Meanwhile, in Miss Hattie's Home for Girls, Rational Margot, Tomboy Edith, and Cinnamon Roll Agnes dream of getting adopted together while selling cookies for a spiteful Miss Hattie. Having orphans sell cookies for you. That can't be legal, can it? At the Bank of Evil, Gru runs into an annoying, nerdy villain named Vector with an obscure obsession of tracksuits and fish-related weapons. Gru presents his plan to the banker, Mr. Perkins, who demands to see the shrink ray. When Gru confesses that he doesn't have it yet, Perkins reminds him of all his other schemes that the bank's invested in and how little a profit they turned up. That there are younger villains out there with more promise, like Vector, who just stole the pyramid. Wait, so the bank is favoring a loan for a young guy over an old guy? If this were made in 2022, young people wouldn't stand a chance applying for these loans. This is not true to life. What am I saying? They have a Bank of Evil, which doesn't make sense in itself. So, Perkins says they'll talk again when Gru gets a shrink ray. Angry, Gru freezes Vector's head on the way out. Gru manages to steal the shrink ray, but is intercepted by Vector, who uses it to shrink his ship. Gru tries to infiltrate Vector's lair because it's apparently so easy to find with the not-so-subtly hidden pyramid with a sky painted over it right behind. How has nobody caught this guy yet? Anyway, he tries to infiltrate Vector's lair to get the shrink ray back, but security is tight, like super tight, right down to a guard shark. After being burnt to a crisp, Gru witnesses the 3 orphan girls selling cookies, and they are immediately let in. Light bulb. So, with forged paperwork and passing off as a dentist, Gru adopts the girls. Okay, I'm starting to think Miss Hattie's orphanage is not that legit because in real life, the adoption process is not that easy. Not to mention expensive, and money's already tight for him. Hey, how's he even able to afford taking care of the girls if he already owes the bank a lot of money? And, the system is not in favor of single men adopting young girls. Hey, I'm not saying that all single men are supervillains or anything, just dictating reality here. Single men should be allowed to adopt, provided they have all the qualifications and no criminal history. But this guy does have a criminal history and apparently has been in the newspapers a lot. How do they miss this? Yeah, exactly, Bella. It's not like a pet shop. Another question, how does Gru even know the names of the girls? Margot, Edith, and Agnes. Wouldn't it be suspicious asking for the girls specifically by name? Or, I mean, how did he even adopt those girls specifically? Did he describe them? And that's creepy in itself. It sounds like that he was stalking them, especially since they had gone to his house before to sell cookies. Man, this movie's got more plot holes than I remember. Within the first 5 minutes of being an adoptive father, Gru proves to be really bad at it. And the first thing he does is abandon the girls in the kitchen with doggy dishes and newspaper for a potty. Not off to a great start. But they find their way into Gru's lab, and Gru lies that he's really a spy rather than a dentist. While playing with a laser, Edith destroys Agnes's unicorn doll, and Agnes holds her breath until she gets a new one. So, to get the girls off his back, he's really annoyed, but at this point, Gru sends 3 minions to get a new unicorn and 2 to watch over the girls. At bedtime, Gru puts the girls to bed in old bombshells, which Edith finds cool. Margot tells Gru that he's never going to be her dad. And Agnes wants a bedtime story, but Gru refuses. You're losing points here as a dad. Next morning, Gru gets the car ready to deliver the cookies to Vector with the new cookie robot and the girls as decoys. But the girls want to go to dance class first, as they have a Swan Lake recital coming up. Hold on, I'm sorry. How does this work? Why are these girls still delivering cookies if they're not at the orphanage anymore? And is the orphanage still paying for their dance classes? Miss Hattie paid for their dance classes who didn't even care about their other needs? Is Gru unknowingly paying for the dance classes now? I know orphans still attend school, but what's the policy for extracurriculars? Again, plot holes to make my brain hurt. Anyway, the girls refuse to deliver cookies until they do dance class, and eventually Gru gives in. Agnes gives him a ticket to the dance recital and makes him pinky promise he'll come. And all the mothers who've dropped off their kids are like, "Aww," even though he's clearly not into it. This part's true to life. Dads with their kids will always go, "Aww," and mothers just don't get any credit. So Gru takes the girls to Vector's. The cookie robots help him steal a shrink ray, and as Gru is driving the girls back, they insist that he takes them to Super Silly Funland. By the way, it's real surreal walking through the universal recreation of this little amusement park. So cool. It's like you're actually in the movie. And then they have the Despicable Me music playing over the speakers. I love going to Universal. Gru plans to abandon the girls on a roller coaster. Father of the year, everyone, but is thwarted by the children must ride with an adult policy. What kind of roller coaster is this? I was able to go on roller coasters alone when I was like 10. And Margot's how old? After nearly throwing up, Gru is dragged to a carnival game where Agnes hopes to win a big, fluffy unicorn. It was so fluffy that I'm gonna die! I actually had this fluffy unicorn. Got it from Universal. But like all carnival games, it's rigged. Even when Agnes hits the tin spaceship, it is not knocked over, and therefore she hasn't won. Officially, anyway. So, Gru, seeing this injustice, takes out one of his massive guns and blows the booth up. Okay, you win a point here. Thankfully, without hitting the unicorn. And the girls are like, that was awesome! Let's go destroy another game! And Gru actually smiles. It helps when they're just as destructive as he is. After a fun day, Gru comes back in face paint bearing cotton candy, and Nefario disapproves, saying they've got 12 days until the moon is in optimal position, and we can't afford any distractions. Gru calls Perkins and shows him the shrink ray, but the girls interrupt the call. I work for working from home parents. This is their struggle, especially in COVID times. Perkins praises Gru's plan, but says he's a has-been who's been at this for far too long, and they're going to be investing their money in a younger villain. Again, the banks never trust young people with their money. Why do you think it's so hard for young people to move out of their parents' house these days? A heartbroken Gru goes to his minions, telling them they're broke and they won't be able to get to the moon. The girls, overhearing this, offer Gru their humble little piggy bank. All they have in the world, just so that he can have his dream. Inspiring the minions to offer what they have. Yeah, who needs the bank? Which is what I was saying at the beginning. Who needs the bank? You're villains! So, days pass, the rocket is being constructed, Gru settles into his new role as a father, and is doing a pretty good job at it. Meanwhile, Perkins, the banker, meets with his son, Vector. Oh, so that's how the young guy got a loan from the bank so easily. Nepotism. That makes more sense. Perkins shows a screenshot of Gru with the shrink ray and the girls who sold Vector the cookies. And Perkins berates his son for blowing this opportunity. But Vector insists, no, I've not blown it. The moon is as good as ours. Dun dun dun! The button stuck. Back at Gru's place, the girls finally convince him to read a bedtime story. They sleepy kittens! Which he despises immediately. I get you, dude. As a nanny, even I find some of the children's books written today tiresome. Especially when the kids have you read the same ones over and 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 over again. I'm just kidding. I love the babies. But the book ends with, while you're sleeping, though we'll be apart, your mommy loves you with all her heart. Aw, I bet his own mom never said that. Agnes asks for a goodnight kiss, but he refuses. Okay, buddy, you lost a point there. Nefario finds Gru, telling him the launch is ready for the moon heist. But it's the same day as the girls' dance recital. And Nefario's like, we've been working at this for years, but these girls, they've become a major distraction. They need to go. If you don't do something about this, then I will. And the next day, Miss Hattie arrives saying she received a call that Gru wanted the girls returned. A call from Nefario. Not cool, man. And Gru goes along with it and lets Miss Hattie take them away. No, they're your babies! You're losing points here, buddy. They go forward with the moon heist, while the girls still wait for Gru at the recital. As Gru shrinks the moon, the recital ticket his minion slipped into his suit pocket floats in front of him. He rushes back to Earth in hopes of making it in time, but the show has already ended. He finds a sign from the seat, reserved for Margot, Edith, and Agnes's dad. What? They called him their dad. And on the back of the paper, a message from Vector. Bring the moon. Gru runs to Vector's lair, surrenders the moon, but Vector decides to keep the girls a little longer. So, in full protective dad mode, Gru storms the lair, punching the shark, dodging the lasers and the missiles. Vector flies his roof up with Gru hanging on. Gru falls into his ship, Big Again, flown by Dr. Nefario and the minions. Nefario warns that the effects of the shrink ray will wear off quicker on the moon because it's already so big. Sure enough, the moon is growing back inside of Vector's ship, with the girls still inside, sending everything this way and that. Thanks to a cable from Gru's ship, the door opens, and Gru tells the girls to jump, and he'll catch them. Well, Margot's like, "You gave us back." "I know, and it was the worst mistake I ever made. But you have to jump now." Agnes and Edith go first, but Margot is hesitant. "Margot, I will catch you, and I will never let you go again." Okay, dude, you got some points back. Margot jumps, but Vector grabs her and drops her. And Gru, with the help of the minions, catches her. The moon keeps growing and ends up back in the sky with Vector on it. I'd like to know how he survives that long, because apparently he appears again in the third movie. So, despite Miss Hattie's disapproval, which is never addressed how he gets the girls back, the girls move back in with Gru. He reads a story that he wrote about one big unicorn who thought he was happy on his own until 3 kittens came around and turned his whole world upside down. They made him laugh, ha ha, they made him cry. He never should have said goodbye, for he knew he could never part from the 3 little kittens that changed his heart. And he finally kisses them goodnight, and Margot, the one who was most reluctant in the beginning, hugs him and says, "I love you. I love you too." Aw, damn. A lot of things in this movie still make no sense, but God, it really hits you in the feels. To top it off, Gru has the girls redo the recital for the minions and their new grandma, who at last says that she is proud of her son for being such a great parent, just like her. Maybe even better. Okay, mean Julie Andrews, we'll take it. So, there you have it. Another bad guy gone good movie. Not as good as Megamind, which came out the same year, but pretty close. I'm sorry, I love Megamind, and Megamind had a lot more surprises in it. Instead of romance changing this villain, however, it's the love of 3 adoptive daughters. The guy starts out as someone who loves being evil, but hasn't had a good heist in years, and as a result is going through a midlife crisis, because he's old, like what, in his 50s? At first, the 3 orphans are merely tools to him, until he finds the surprising joys of parenthood. Now, the movie doesn't verbally say why the girls end up appealing to Gru, but here's my interpretation. More than anything, Gru wanted to be a success, to make his mother proud of him, but it was never enough. When he went from drawing himself in a rocket to making a macaroni rocket and then building a real rocket at, 10? None of it was enough to gain her approval. And when the bank denies him as well, that inferiority complex grows. Nobody seems to be on his side. Well, maybe Nefario and the minions, but not enough to help him along the way. And I think it's when the girls show amazement at what he does and support him with what little money they have to get him to the moon, he, for the first time in his life, feels like he's approved of and accepted as he is. What's the point of success if there's no one to congratulate you or cheer you on, even on small things like blowing up a carnival game? If you think about it, the whole movie has a recurring theme of characters seeking parental approval. Gru with his mom, Vector with his dad, the orphans with, well, any adult figure they can find from lack of a parental figure. First with Miss Hattie and then with Gru. But the girls fail to get that approval. Everyone fails to get that approval. Even Vector, in stealing the pyramid, still has to do more to make his dad happy. Like, okay, it doesn't matter that he stole the pyramid. Like if somebody steals something that's even better, then he's automatically a failure. And the girls never sell enough cookies for Miss Hattie. When they sell a lot, it's not enough to meet the quota, she says. And nothing makes Gru's mom happy. Gru is the one to finally break the cycle, seeing a part of himself in the girls. Just kids who want their parents to accept them as they are. Success is great, but if we focus on it too much, we can forget the more important things in life, like family, people who care about you, and that you care about. Gru's character arc continues in Despicable Me 2, when he's recruited by the Anti-Villain League to stop a Mexican stereotype from taking over the world. Hey, where were these guys during the moon heist and the Great Pyramid scheme? Law enforcement in this world sucks. Come on, the evil villain layers are obvious. But interesting thing, this villain doesn't get reformed through the love of a woman, but he meets the love of his life after his reformation. Sometimes it's better if you meet somebody after you've gotten your life together, like you've started to find your place in the world, and then you feel that there's just one extra thing missing. And that's usually when you're ready for a relationship. Special Agent Lucy is awesome, quirky, and able to counteract his freeze ray right off the bat. That's true love right there. That's how you know. When you shoot a freeze ray and she counteracts it with a heat ray, and then she zaps you with a lipstick taser. So, Gru being a villain isn't what stops him from asking out Lucy, but it's his own inferiority complex that's in the way. And Lucy also goes through an arc of figuring out her priorities. That instead of taking a promotion in Australia, she decides that she would rather be with Gru. I'd rather not talk about Despicable Me 3 and the Minion prequels. The only thing worth noting about the third movie is Lucy's struggle to settle into her new role as a stepmom to Margot, Edith, and Agnes, and Gru once again learning to prioritize his family over success. I didn't like the whole concept of his long-lost twin, Drew. I found that kind of boring. There we go. I said it. You can have dreams, but you might end up with new dreams along the way. And what you might end up being happy in things that you wouldn't have expected, like starting a family or meeting somebody that you connect with, that you're on the same wavelength with, in whatever way. Also, parents, don't put so much pressure on your kids to be successes, as in perfect successes. Accept them as they are, and praise them even for their small accomplishments. And if they fail, help them to do better next time. Family should support family, even through each other's failures. I know most boomers would consider me, for example, a failure for my only measly 5-figure salary and not being able to afford my own place at 27 despite working 2 jobs. But at least I have parents who are supportive enough to help me through the tough times, even if I'm not what most would consider successful. I'm grateful for them. Grateful for my mom and my dad. Happy Father's Day and happy belated Mother's Day. Next episodes, because we only got 2 left, I've decided they will be open to all patrons this time, no matter what tier you're on. And the second to last episode will be on the Hunchback of Notre Dame. I know you've wanted me to do this for a while because it seems kind of obvious. Thing is, it's only going to be the Disney version. I know. Because apparently I don't have the attention span to read the full dense novel by Victor Hugo. I mean, it takes 6 chapters before we get to the actual characters, for crying out loud. Gothic literature, why? But yeah, next time we'll be primarily on the Disney version of Hunchback of Notre Dame, because frankly, I think we prefer the version with a happy ending, don't we? Alright, and before we close off, does anybody else have something to add to the conversation? Yes, I know Agnes is a bean. Agnes is definitely the best part of the movie. And just one more cheer for all the adorableness. Hey-oh! Alright. BellaPinkSavage says, absolutely love this movie. Still have my Edith hat from Universal. Oh, I didn't see the hat there. Definitely got, I myself definitely got the big fluffy unicorn and the Minion. And fun fact, when we did actually have the Minions movie showing at my college campus, I brought my big fluffy unicorn along. I mean, the movie itself wasn't very great, but it was nice to have a big unicorn to cuddle. Yeah. Yeah, and I know they also have the three little kittens book at Universal. Yeah. You know, maybe if I'd actually had kids then, I would have gotten it for them. Anyway, until next time, happy Father's Day, everybody. Bye-bye!